Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is DLPOV, and sorry for the little bit of a delay, but I was feeling a little bit sick yesterday. Anyway, let's get back to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4, Diamonds Unbreakable, Week 9. We have the Yukako little storyline, the second episode, and overall, I was pretty satisfied with it. I was expecting this could have been dragged out a lot longer than it has been. Luckily, it's been only kept for 2 episodes, and I'm happy with that. And yes, let me just get started with the overview while I'm at it. So we start off with Okuyasu and Josuke wondering where the fuck Koichi is because he has been missing. And since we know from previous episode he has been kidnapped by Yukako and basically is stuck in her house. Now, we transition over to this scene of Koichi trying to get to the toilet and like very desperately trying to open the lock, which has like right on the door posted this. I think I don't remember the question too well, but I think it was something in the lines of like, when did Columbus find America or some shit like that, and he had to put the year on the lock in order to go get in it. To which he fails to find the answer on time and thus it in his pants. Koichi begs Yukako that to leave him alone, to give him permission to get the fuck out because he feels ashamed. He doesn't know how she could possibly like a guy who had peas in his own pants. All that bullshit. Yukako kind of like brushes it off by saying that she saw a spark in his eyes, that there is hidden potential, and that like peeing in the pants is nothing to worry about. That is something for normally for people to happen, which is something that I can completely agree on. Like, so what? Someone pisses in their pants. Who gives a fuck? However, Koichi's trying to use this to just leave. He's feeling embarrassed. He's feeling completely down, completely understandable, and shit like this happens in front of like a cute but crazy girl. So anyway, um, we get this little small line that I want to comment on, and that is when Yukako, she's about to leave. She tells Koichi like, I'm going to go out. I'm thinking about making Italian food for dinner, and this is not really a spoiler, but it's pretty cool that she said this, since next week's episode is called "Let's Eat Italian Food." Not really a spoiler, just the title of the episode. Anyway, so Yukago's out of the room. Koichi decides that he has to find a solution. He has to find some way to get the fuck out of there. So he sends echoes to investigate the area and finds like a phone booth, but realizes that he has no money to do so. Yukako catches him looking out the window, to which she assumes that he is looking for a phone booth to make a call. She is kind of pissed, and she tells him that she's going to go to the phone booth and take out two of the numbers that he would possibly use to call for emergency calls, I think. And as she's heading there, she doesn't realize that Echoes is there, and she realizes like these words imprinted on her left arm. And I don't know how this exactly works because I haven't reread a chapter in the manga. I completely forgot, but somehow like dial sounds appear, and somehow Echoes manages to call Yosuke. I don't know how that happens. If someone is willing to explain to me how that really happens, I'll probably look at the manga in a bit after this, after I shoot this as well. But I just don't understand how that really works. Um, Echoes would have had to have dialed the numbers by itself, and Yukako would have had to put coins in the machine in order for it to work. So that's kind of like the only thing that bothered me about this episode. But anyway, she's pissed because like Yosuke, being the observant guy that he is, he notices wave sounds like ocean water sounds in the background, and like him and Okuyasu, they have like the map in front of them, so they're trying to search out where Koichi is. She's pissed. She fucking hangs the phone. She goes to the door. She's like, I want you to open this shit. And holy shit, like there comes this interesting line, and it's kind of nice in a way, I guess you could say, because she's like, "Oh, I'm happy that you and I both have this special power," and she's like being really, really optimistic about all this. To which, to which Koichi responds with what I would say the equivalent of "Go fuck yourself." Um, he he makes Echoes like say, I think it's like "I hate you." That's what Echoes creates and imprints it on her neck. But this is where we get a little bit more introduction, a little bit more information regarding Echo's power, and that is that if you're ignorant, if you're optimistic enough, or if you can ignore the words that are being imprinted, the words have no effect on you, which is what happens with Yukako. Koichi tells her through Echoes that "I hate you," and she is so convinced that he loves her, or that they're so well matched together, that the words have no effect on her. And she's eventually just gets pissed off. Holy shit, she gets so pissed off that she uses the hairs that are still in Koichi's head to push him to the door and make an opening, and force her hairs inside, and tells him to open the fucking door. She tells him, "I'm gonna break this fucking house down. Like, if you don't do it, like, I don't care if you die. Even if you die, then you'll still be part of me through my memory." So some crazy bitch ass thing going on with her. She and Koichi notices that echoes have formed into some kind of stone, and Koichi's convinced that he killed echoes because he tried to overdo his power. Not much of suspense is being created, because little after that we find out that echoes actually was just in a cocoon phase and hatched out into Echoes Act 2. A little thing I want to say about this, and I didn't notice this last week, or the weeks before that, but Echo's English translation name is apparently Reverb. We know that it's not that. We know that it's Echoes. Echoes Act 1, Echoes Act 2 now. And you kind of get hinted at that in the beginning of the episode, within the scene transitions, when they show you the stands, their powers, and their name and their users. Sometimes they do mention Echoes Act 1, if I'm not mistaken, kind of hinting towards a second or third act. Anyway, Echoes Act 2 gains a new ability, and Echoes Act 2, basically what it basically does is that it imprints words, and whoever touches the word gets the effect of the word being described. So if Echoes Act 2 would have placed fire and you were the one to touch it, you would light yourself on fire in a way. If it would imprint hot, you would feel something hot, you would have to take your hand out. Electricity, same goes for that shit. And Yukako makes the mistake of touching and wrapping her hair around Koichi, asking him like, "Do you hate me? Like, you better answer the fucking question." And Koichi imprinted himself with the words "blow away" or something like that. Dogon, I think that's the English translation, but I don't know what the fuck that means. But it basically just sends Yukako flying off the house into the edge of a cliff. Koichi, being concerned because he's still a good guy, he goes to her, he makes Echo listen to her heartbeat, to the Yukako, who now has white hair, check upon her and realizes that she's still alive. Yukako takes advantage of this and then traps Echoes with her hairs, and tells him that she's going to destroy Echoes, that way like he'll die as well. Koichi informs her that the cliff is gonna break, get the fuck out of there. She says like she refuses to do so and takes Echoes with her. As she's going to fall on a spiky rock, she says that Koichi is basically telling her like, let go of my stand, then you will be able to use your hairs to like graft to something else. She refuses to do so. However, Koichi and Echoes are good guys, of course, so what Echoes did before or as he was falling was drop words on those rocks to make them rubber-like. So when she hits them, she bounces back. This is a little bit hilarious as well. It leads on to a little bit of a comedic aspect of the episode, and that is when these two sailors, they see like this girl falling on a cliff and bouncing right back, looking at it like this is some kind of mythological story or some. This now becomes a legend and becomes a landmark, the Boing Boing rocks or some shit like that. Um, pretty nice little detail. Putting landmarks, which is something that they're going to continue doing throughout the entirety of part 4. I absolutely love it. Koichi basically just does his little pimp walk out of there, like, yeah, I'm the man, and getting the fuck out of there, while Yukako is kind of like still accepting everything that just happened, that she could have died. And Yukako basically comes to the realization that she really does love him, and she's becoming like this really sweet part of her. Like, let's be honest, she was basically going tsundere Super Saiyan a little while back, and right now she's becoming more of like the shy kind of like, ooh, I love him so much, that type of girl. Transition over to that, and Koichi meets up with Josuke and Okuyasu, who by now have arrived, and they notice her laughing really, like, she's fucked up, but she's laughing really nicely, and they get kind of freaked out by it, so they get the fuck out of there. The next day, Koichi takes another test, or his test, and gets 100, kind of emphasizing or leading us to the conclusion that the teaching methods that Yukako implied really did work after all. And he doesn't know how to feel about that. That's kind of where the episode ends. Now, going back to the 3 points that I enjoy talking about, animation, pacing, and value to the overall plot. Animation, overall good. I really did enjoy it. I hardly found any animation pieces that I did not like. Most of the time it was well done, well drawn out, and well animated. Pacing, it was well paced, as mentioned in the beginning of this episode. This could have been dragged out long. Like, this could have been dragged out for 3 episodes, and you would have had more tension build up to it. Which it did not. It went pretty fast. 2 episodes for this little story arc. Absolutely fine with it. I personally wasn't too crazy about it, but I liked what they did with the animation. One thing that I will say is, however, they did kind of develop the fact that if someone is stubborn enough, like Yukako, Echoes Act 1, the words that it imprints on someone, it has no effect. However, Echoes kind of evolved to Act 2 now, so unfortunately that finding out that shit doesn't work on those kind of people, kind of is just pointless at this point, because it was used for one little section of the series only. So that little weakness of Echoes kind of got brushed off right away. That's what I'm trying to say. But otherwise, we are doing well with the pacing, the value to the overall plot. Echoes evolved. That's kind of like the only thing that pushes the story further. Will it have a overall long effect? I'm not sure. Well, I am sure, but I'm not gonna tell you for the anime only viewers. The only thing I will say is that that this does establish the fact that stands can evolve, and that is kind of interesting because we kind of have that. We kind of have a hint. We got that hinted at in Stardust Crusaders with Dio. Dio stand the world kind of could only stop time for, I think it was about like 2-3 seconds, and eventually it was evolving to the fact that it could do it for a long period of time. Jotaro, the Star Platinum stand, it couldn't stop time until it started getting used to Dio's stand, and eventually did it himself. So it does create a certain evolution with stands. And that's kind of like something really interesting that I consider, because it's not only powers, it's also physical appearance. And I've honestly forgotten whether or not it has it comes more often in the next couple of parts or in the next couple of episodes. But regardless, I'm curious to see what's going to happen now, especially because this upcoming episode, Let's Eat Italian Food, episode 10, I'm absolutely excited. This episode, I don't want to overhype it, but this episode, for its bullshit, is the episode that got me into JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in general. So curious to see that. Anyway, the last thing I want to mention is just that I think the author of JoJo, his name keeps escaping my head. My apologies for that. But the author of JoJo, I believe he had some influence of Dragon Ball Z around the time, more specifically Gohan, when creating this part 4, which you can kind of tell with Koichi. I believe I have spoken about this in one of my previous videos as well. However, Echo's Act 1, its design has a little bit similarities to Cell, right? Echo's Act 2, again, more cell evolving in a way, transforming. So that's a little bit of a cool aspect. And its tail started like reminding me more of Cell as it evolves. So I'm curious to see its final design of Echo's. Minor spoiler if you aren't familiar, I guess, like transformations come in 3, right? Anyway, that was my video. Sorry for the little bit of a mess right now. I've been a little bit sick, and yesterday I wasn't feeling too well. That's why the video got delayed to today. My name is DLPOV. If you like this video, hit the like button down below. What did you think of this episode in general? Did you like it? What do you think of Echo's Act 2? Do you prefer the first act or the second act regarding design? Is Yukako tsundere? Yes, it is. Yes, she is. If you were ever to encounter her in real life, would you get with her? Leave the comments down below. My name is DLPOV. Hit the subscribe button. I would appreciate it a lot. Or the like button. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend, Memorial Day weekend. Bye.